Good evening, I'm Prasad Michael and you're watching Kini News, the show that brings you today's biggest stories. It's been 2 weeks since the movement control order was put in place, but some continue to have a hard time wrapping their heads around the whole concept. With the country entering phase 2 of the movement control order, many have gotten used to the restricted movement. However, there are still those who have failed to comply, and the authorities are no longer taking the soft approach. Over 4,000 people have been arrested for violating the order as of today.
Sepanjang tempoh PKP ini, seramai 4,189 individu telah pun ditahan, di mana 1,449 telah pun dituduh di mahkamah, dan ada di antaranya telah pun dijatuhkan hukuman, dan hukuman bukan setakat berupa denda, tetapi hukuman juga adalah berupa penjara.
However, Defence Minister Ismail Sabri Yaakob revealed that the number of those detained by security forces have begun to decline slightly, with 741 people being detained on Monday, but only 583 and 562 people on Tuesday and Wednesday respectively. Ismail said that in one case, an 8-month jail sentence was dealt for not only violating the MCO, but also other offences, including getting into a confrontation with the police who were manning the roadblocks. The maximum sentence for violating the MCO is 6 months jail or 1,000 ringgit fine, or both. With the MCO extended for another 2 weeks, Ismail said police will also be taking a tougher stance against those who do not comply with the order aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19. The number of recoveries in Malaysia is growing. Unfortunately, so are the number of new cases. Malaysia's daily recovery rate continues to grow, with 122 recoveries in the past 24 hours, bringing the total to 767 people who have recovered from COVID-19 and have been discharged from hospitals. This puts the recovery rate at 24.6% of the total number of cases. Meanwhile, as of noon on Thursday, 208 new COVID infections were reported, putting the active COVID-19 cases at 2,299. 5 new deaths were also reported, bringing the death toll to 50. Health Ministry Director General Dr Noor Hisham Abdullah also revealed that 105 patients are being currently treated in the intensive care unit, with 54 patients requiring ventilators to breathe. During the press conference today, Dr Noor Hisham also stressed once again on why it is important to flatten the curve.
Although yesterday I did say that we have some early signs that showing some improvement, but nonetheless it's too early for us to make any conclusion. But what's more important is this crucial 2 weeks for us to flatten the curve. The reason for us to flatten the curve is not expecting a 0-case COVID infection in this country. The reason for us to flatten the curve is because to allow our hospital to be able to cope with the surge or exponential spike of cases. So you can see that today, in terms of the patients in our ICU is increasing. So we need to make sure the capacity of our hospital can function well to provide good services to our patients.
Meanwhile, according to the World Health Organization, hospitalized COVID-19 cases in Malaysia are expected to peak in mid-April. The WHO also added that there are signs of a flattening of the infection curve. The number of critically ill patients is estimated to reach the peak within the next week. Malaysia has the highest number of infections in Southeast Asia. With the MCO in place, the country's most vulnerable members of society are facing an even bigger challenge, especially without the ability to continue working, and restrictive and inconsistent policies have made it difficult for NGOs to continue helping those most in need. Our reporter Vivian Yap has more.
According to new guidelines released by the Women, Family and Community Development Ministry, NGOs can now distribute dry goods and cook food to the vulnerable members of society. However, they must register themselves with the Welfare Department a day before their operation. There are also new restrictions in place. Now they can only send up to 2 persons for distribution work and must wear face masks, gloves and practice social distancing during the process. Previously, the government banned NGOs in distributing aid directly to their recipients and asked them to send goods to dedicated centres. The inconsistency in the SOPs were confusing and frustrating to NGOs that have been working on the ground for years in helping the underprivileged.
Now, JKM also are not able to provide us any form of guarantee letter or a support letter, then how are we going to move around? Because we ourselves are subject to question from the police, you see, when they are doing the blocks and all that. They might not allow us to go past and all that.
Apart from the lack of clarity on the latest policy, Justin said most NGOs spend a great deal of time building relationships with their clients. This trust is essential in ensuring that the clients are comfortable to reach out for help when they need them. Abrupt intervention from the authorities in the process may be counterproductive.
The recipients will be confused. Some who might have documentation problems, some would have other circumstances. They might not be too comfortable to turn up and seek for help. From our end, we were able to make sure, because the familiarization is also there.
Salma, who works as a cleaner, is solely responsible for raising her 5 children. And to her, Justin from Kechara is her only known source for help.
2 minggu ni Puan ada cukup punya makanan tak?
Tak cukup, sebab tu saya minta tolong dengan Justin. Saya pun sebetulnya malu juga minta tolong dengan Justin, sebab Justin selalu tolong saya kan. Sebab saya betul-betul susah, tak ada tempat nak minta tolong, saya terpaksa minta tolong dengan Justin. Justin handle saya punya problem. Setiap bulan hantar saya makanan. Justin bagi saya duduk rumah yang selesa, beras dengan gula saja, yang ada dengan minyak lah. Telur ada kawan kasih saya 2 hari lepas dia bagi saya. Telur 13 biji dengan Maggi 1 paket.
For Kechara, they hope the issue can be sorted as soon as possible.
If they are not sure, then maybe they should not say it out. We are trying to help people, but at the same time, when your information is not clear, then it kind of like make people suffer. Just help us to do our work lah, you know, to probably just help us to help them.
Cats can be infected with COVID-19, but cat owners have nothing to worry about.
Amid reports of cats testing positive of COVID-19, a new study has reportedly found that cats can indeed catch the disease and could even pass it on to other felines. But cat owners shouldn't be alarmed just yet, according to Ohio State University virologist Linda Seif. This is because the lab experiments involve deliberately infecting the cats with a high dose of the virus and do not reflect real-life interactions between humans and their pets. There is no direct evidence that infected cats secreted enough of the virus to infect people, she reportedly said. Seif was responding to a preliminary report published by a team of researchers at the Harbin Veterinary Research Institute, China on Tuesday. The report, which has yet to be peer-reviewed, described a series of experiments where animals were exposed to the virus and then examined a few days later. 3 infected cats had been kept in cages next to 3 uninfected cats to see if the latter group catches the disease. One of the cats did become infected. Dogs, however, were less susceptible to the virus. The researchers infected 5 dogs and found that 2 excreted viral RNA in feces, but none contained infectious virus. With the coronavirus spreading rapidly around the world, some have raised concerns about whether the virus can pass between pets and people. So far, there have been a few reports of pets being infected, a cat in Belgium and 2 dogs in Hong Kong.
Many states have already cancelled Ramadan bazaars in light of the COVID-19 outbreak, and Sultan Ibrahim of Johor has voiced his views on the matter. Now is not the time to hold any event involving mass gatherings. This is the decree made by Johor ruler Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar in connection with Ramadan bazaars as the nation fights to contain the spread of COVID-19. The Sultan said with new cases being detected every day, Ramadan bazaars should not be held. In a statement published on Facebook, the ruler said the complete effect of the movement control order must be achieved first. Ramadan is expected to start on April 23rd, the week after the current movement control order is set to end on April 14th. So far, other states that have cancelled Ramadan bazaars for this year include Selangor, Melaka, Negeri Sembilan and Terengganu. Previously, Health Director General Dr Noor Hisham Abdullah said that bazaars can be held during Ramadan if they follow the ministry's guidelines to ensure social distancing and good hygiene. Meanwhile, Sultan Ibrahim also urged for national unity in helping the government combat the pandemic. He urged Malaysians to forget about politics and work together to save the country from this crisis. Coming up next, the US, which usually sends aid, has now received some from Russia. The President of the Philippines has taken a hardline approach against people who defy the lockdown. All that and more after this. This story is brought to you by Blue Air. Usually it's the United States that sends aid, but with the COVID-19 outbreak overwhelming the world superpower, it's now on the receiving end. Russia sent the United States medical equipment on Wednesday to help fight the coronavirus pandemic, a public relations success for Russian President Vladimir Putin after he discussed the crisis with US President Donald Trump. Trump, struggling to fill shortages of ventilators and personal protective equipment, accepted Putin's offer in a phone call on Monday. A Russian military transport plane left an airfield outside Moscow and arrived at New York's JFK airport in late afternoon on Wednesday. Usually, the United States donates supplies to embattled countries rather than accepting them. The origin of the delivery, which Moscow called aid, was bound to revive criticism from the Democrats that Trump has been cozy with the Russian leader. Putin's spokesperson Dmitry Peskov said Trump gratefully accepted the humanitarian aid, reported news agency Interfax on Tuesday. Trump himself spoke enthusiastically about the Russian help after his call with Putin. Peskov said Moscow hoped the US might also be able to provide medical help to Russia if necessary when the time comes. A US official in Washington said the shipment carried 60 tons of ventilators, masks and respirators and other items. The official said the equipment would be carefully examined to make sure it conforms with the quality requirements of the US Food and Drug Administration. Confirmed US coronavirus cases have surged to more than 200,000, with 4,500 deaths. In Russia, the official tally of confirmed cases is 2,337, with 17 deaths, although some doctors there have questioned the accuracy of official data. Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte is no stranger to taking the hard approach on a range of issues, including the war against drugs, and now COVID-19 is no different.
Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has warned violators of coronavirus lockdown measures they could be shot for causing trouble. In a televised address, Duterte said the government's orders needed to be followed and the country needs to maintain order. No one was to harm health workers and doctors. Let this be a warning to all, he said on Wednesday. As of Wednesday, the Philippines has 2,311 confirmed coronavirus cases with 96 deaths and 50 recoveries. His comment came after media reports of a disturbance and arrest of residents in a poor area of Manila who were protesting about insufficient government food aid. They also follow outrage among the medical community about social stigma and instances of hospital workers suffering physical abuse and discrimination, which Duterte said must be stopped. Activists deride Duterte over his fierce rhetoric and accuse him of inviting violence and vigilantism, as shown in his war on drugs, during which police and mystery gunmen have killed thousands of people accused of using and selling drugs. Police said their actions in the anti-drug campaign have been lawful. The National Police Chief on Thursday, however, said police understood that Duterte was demonstrating his seriousness about public order and no one would be shot.
And that is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to KiniTV.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time, same place. I'm Prasad Michael. Thank you for watching.
Assalamualaikum Pak Tan.
Waalaikumsalam. Kamu berdua ni daripada majalah mana ni?
Ini kat kami. Kalau boleh nak ambil masa sikit Pak Tan untuk kami tanya beberapa soalan.
Sekarang ni disebabkan ladang kelapa sawit macam Pak Tan ni, dah banyak orang hutan yang dah mati.
Banyak binatang mati macam harimau, gajah disebabkan pembukaan ladang kelapa sawit.
Apa cadangan kamu? Nak suruh saya musnahkan ladang sawit saya ni? Kamu tahu tak akibatnya akan lagi buruk nanti? Kelapa sawit ni sebenarnya adalah tanaman minyak sayuran yang paling berdaya saing di dunia. Kamu bayangkan, 1 hektar ladang sawit boleh menghasilkan antara 3 ke 4 tan minyak sawit. Minyak sayuran jenis lain nak dapat 1 tan pun belum tentu. Ladang kelapa sawit sebenarnya boleh menghasilkan lebih kurang 3 kali ganda oksigen daripada hutan semula jadi. Jadi, apa benda yang kamu berdua mengarut ni? Ladang kelapa sawit ni lah yang membantu keluarga saya, keluarga orang-orang di kampung ni untuk keluar daripada kongkongan kemiskinan. Kalau kamu berdua ni wartawan, aktivis pencinta alam sekitar, sepatutnya kamu berdua ni lah yang membantu menaikkan, membangunkan industri sawit kita ni supaya boleh memberi manfaat kepada orang kita. Dan pada masa yang sama boleh mengekalkan, memelihara alam sekitar.